So we started out by thinking that, okay, we understood that there was a universal need for righteousness. After we saw the universal need for righteousness, then what began to develop was this. We then looked at what justification actually was. So there was a universal need for this justification. Then we said, what is justification? And from chapter 3, verse 21, all the way to chapter 4, verse 25, we begin to look at an extended definition of justification. And that justification, as we begin to see it, was this legal act of being declared righteous by God through faith apart from works. So we're declared right, completely perfect before God through faith, but it's not by the works that we've done. What it is this. It isn't through a work of the law. It isn't through a work that's outside of the law. It's faith, but it's faith based upon the person, the life, the ministry, the death, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's it. And that's the only thing that faith is centered on. And that faith alone results in what? Justification. And so as we dealt with the universal need for justification, then we dealt with the definition of justification. And then after that, we begin to look at what? Well, now Paul began to graduate his students. So all that time that we were in this book, we were trying to develop what is this justification by faith, not of works, and how it is that Abraham, was the father of us all. Now, after that definition, then Paul begins to graduate his students. He moves them from pre-K and he moves them into middle school. As he moves them into middle school, he begins to show them not just what justification is with this extended definition, but now he begins to literally say, listen, I want you to understand not just the enormity of what this definition means to a Christian, but understand the greater enormity in what this justification supplies to the Christian. And that's incredible, because when we look at how this supplies, it means it's even a greater benefit and a greater benefit. Once we were in those first 8 chapters or first 8 verses of chapter 5, we saw that justification was the basis for peace with God. And so it says, therefore, having been justified, verse 1, by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. So justification was the basis of our peace with God. And so we have this peace with God, and this peace transcends everything. It transcends our sin. It transcends trials. No matter what we have, this justification, because we have this standing with God, that all these things, we have peace in God. And that's one of the things that justification supplied.